Dear Hélio, Oiticica, and Kanye West, I initially wanted to handwrite this letter, but there would be too many scratch-outs and, why waste paper? In my haunting curiosity of understanding the etheric body and metaphysical world, I have unified your frequencies to bring a life that was once beyond human perception. I mean no harm in visualizing your past, as my intention is not to capture, document, or exploit you. I come to you as a conjurer of spirits, supporting the notion that energies can not only be felt, but also seen, proving to able eyes that etheric bodies are amongst us. These 4 gifts, these 4 garments, are translations that pay my respect to the seeming of your energies, bringing elasticity to the meaning of life by creating a flesh for the ghost. Hélio, I've been influenced by your color time philosophy and agree with undoing time and expanding its meaning by combining color with action and movement. I've pushed this color time philosophy further by correlating color with frequency, and then frequency with texture, resulting in my affinity for fabric and your beloved Parangolés. Kanye, your ability to birth sound from feeling reminds me of the many rebirths you've had in your lifetime, as well as the time I sat on my porch rapping Everything I Am in 2007, influencing the birth of my first rhymes. These immaculate conceptions prove our ability to be maternal and vulnerable, enduring the pain and sloth moving our hands of the labor, the incessant swollen creative womb that we have. In homage to Oiticica's unraveling of time and West's rebirths, I present to you Runaway Parangolés, as flesh for the spirit of hip-hop's firstborn magnum opus, Runaway, from album of the decade, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye West. In reference to the Yeezy shoe, West says, quote, "It's a painting. It's a spirit that's inside of it that is now translated into these miniature vehicles." Although Parangolés may not be vehicles, they too perform acts of transportation and transmission. I made 4 of them with the help of my cousin Sandra, and have even taken the time to name them: Ocean, Air, Forest, and Volcan. To understand the aesthetic of your first sonochromatic collaboration, I colored sheet music for Runaway to see what and where colors appear, with a frequency to color chart developed by Clint Goss and Nicholas Melendez. The song is in the key of E, which translates to E, indigo, F sharp, brown, G sharp, red, A, orange, B, lime green, C sharp, teal, D sharp, royal blue. These colors are very similar to the colors used in the artwork for My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, adding another haunting characteristic to these garments. Next, by paying close attention to the textures of the instruments, I correlated the notes to 4 fabrics in a process I like to call fabricating the frequency: polyester satin, fringe, bimber, and suede. Unfortunately, Mood Fabrics sold out of their chocolate corduroy fabric, but as a translation of metaphysical energies between 3 bodies with black and brown ancestors, the brown is pretty much innate to the garment. The texture of polyester satin reminds me of high-pitched clean sounds, like the 5th octave E piano note that haunts us 15 times in the intro of Runaway, as well as for the duration of the song. This E note is typically lighter in color due to its high pitch, but I decided to remain with an indigo E to represent the bass line in this piece. Therefore, C sharp teal, D sharp royal blue, B lime green, and G sharp red are the colors I used for the polyester satin. Also, this is the same material used for do-rags to protect coarse hair from breakage and dehydration, noting another reference toward black and brown bodies. I have also used red for fringe and orange for bimberg to represent the breathability of the violins, and 2 of the 6 notes played in the string melody, G sharp red and A orange. The drape of the bimberg and the flotion, my portmanteau of flow and motion, of the fringe represent not just the notes of the violins, but also the breath and movement of the body. Breathing becomes rhythmic as the body dances, or runs away, and then this rhythmic breathing becomes a privilege, a symbol of freedom, a token of life that pays the body rent for one's spiritual home. This rhythmic synchronization between body and breath, for me, could be an example of how, quote, time is produced by the facticity of matter's performances. Hey, Oiticica, would you agree? Would you agree that the rhythm between body and breath is color time, and that this could be a reason why when black and brown bodies dance or run away, they're performing a ceremony for all of those who could not, do not, and are struggling to breathe? Write me back at your leisure with your thoughts, man. Suede holds a very special place in this piece, as it is the heavier fabric, but heavy is good. Heavy is grounded, low to the earth, like how baseline vibration should be. Noted with the color indigo, E is the last frequency we're covering in Runaway Parangolés, as this is the last note left in the scale, but not the only note played in the baseline. Suede is a napped leather fabric that is sensitive to direction, so if you glide your hand along the napping of the suede, it's smooth. If you glide your hand against the napping, it raises up, kinda like an electric feeling. The bass line in Runaway has this smooth yet electric feeling that binds all the other frequencies together like fabric glue. I wish I was able to use more suede for this project for the other notes in the bass line, but I already exceeded my budget. But I'll make another one if you can cover me, yay. These 4 parangolés are only the beginning of what I can do with spirits, and if you're wondering, no, I'm not asking for money. All I ask of you two is to help me protect your newborn flesh, because these beautiful, dark, twisted fantasies of ceremonying and running away takes a village, and I, at the age of 26, cannot support 4 fleshy newborns on my own. I hope to talk with you two soon. Peace and love. Eshé. P.S. I hope you noticed that 2 of the Parangolés are 2-sided. Congratulations! They're Gemini twins! Happy Gemini season. Quotes from Jack Derrida. Thought, as representation, precedes and governs communication, which transports the idea, the signified content. Quoting Condillac, thus the imagination will represent to them only the very same images that they had already expressed through actions and words, and which had, from the beginning, rendered language figural and metaphorical. The first attempt at writing was nothing but a simple painting. I have had to anticipate the meaning of the word communication. I have been constrained to predetermine communication as a vehicle, a means of transport or transitional medium of a meaning, and moreover of a unified meaning. Quotes from Sarah Ahmed. Phenomenology asks us to be aware of the what that is around. After all, if consciousness is intentional, then we are not only directed towards objects, but those objects also take us in a certain direction. The world that is around us has already taken shapes as the very form of what is more and less familiar. Husserl conveys the proximity between bodies and objects as things that become more than matter insofar as they can be sensed and touched, insofar as they make and leave impressions. Bodies are something touching which is touched. Phenomenology, hence, shows how objects and others have already left their impressions on the skin surface. Quotes from Karl Marx. Labor, then, as the creator of use values, as useful labor, is a condition of human existence which is independent of all forms of society. It is an eternal natural necessity which mediates the metabolism between man and nature, and therefore human life itself. The impression made by a thing on the optic nerve is perceived not as a subjective excitation of that nerve, but as the objective form of that thing outside the eye. In the act of seeing, of course, light is really transmitted from one thing, the external object, to another thing, the eye. It is a physical relation between physical things.